All right, guys, welcome to Outbreak Online. I know it's kind of weird that we were in live last week, we're online this week, and we're going to be live next week. But then from here on out, we'll be live and in person, hopefully, for the rest of 2021. But if not, this is just a new format. Checking out our YouTube, we'll be posting, different funny videos throughout the year, hopefully to, get you guys more engaged through Outbreak and through that you can share with your friends. But first, just like every Outbreak, we have a couple announcements. And so I'm gonna throw it to the slide here. As you can see, tonight we're Outbreak Online here at 6. And the next Sunday, as we've talked about, it's our Among Us Live night. And so it's called Acting Sus. There'll be more information put out this week about that, different crewmates, different imposters, how to play and stuff like that. But then Friday, the 29th, we're gonna have a game night here. We're gonna have tournaments of different games. We have board games, we have card games, ton of games just from here 6 to 8. You can invite your friends for that. We'll have food and snacks with that, drinks as well. And then obviously the last Sunday of January, we'll right back here, live and in person. So just a little bit of that. If you go to our Instagram, you can check out on our link our new Bite Size Me. It's just a web page where you can check out our YouTube, check out our Instagram, our website, our student page, all there in one section as well. Also, this next week and the upcoming weeks, we're going to be promoting Extreme Retreat again. That's in March the 12th through the 13th, so be looking forward to that as well. Make sure to watch the whole video, because at the end there'll be a prize if you watch through the whole video. But first, just like an Outbreak, we want to play a game with you guys. So this week's game is called Poorly Explained Movies. So now there's going to be a prompt that's going to come up on the screen. It's going to poorly explain this movie, and I want you in the comment or in the chat guess what that movie is. So here's our first one. It says, man calls up a friend from childhood to play a board game. Leave a comment or leave a message in the chat to see what you think that is. It actually is Jumanji. So that's a pretty good one. It's a little easy one, all right. So here's the next one. Single father tries to end world hunger with his rock collection. A little harder. Think about it. Process. Single father, rock collection. What do you guys think it is? So what it is? It's Infinity War. Thanos. All that. His rock collection. Thought it was a pretty good one. I don't know. Maybe you guys don't think so. But here's the next one. Older sister steals younger sister's chance to be on a game show on national TV. What do you guys think that is? Well, it actually is Hunger Games. Pretty good, poorly explained, kind of makes it, more happy than it was. But here's the next one. World's largest ice bucket challenge ends terribly. It's kind of an easier one if you really know your movies. You probably get these poorly explained. But so world's largest ice bucket challenge ends terribly is the Titanic. Yeah, so that's it for our game. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're ready for the message that's coming up here in a bit. We'll catch you in a sec. All right, so we're kicking off our week 2 of our series, The Invite. Step towards evangelism. Last week, we talked about our first steps, first steps on how to invite someone, what we should be feeling to invite someone. And this week, we're talking about be intentional, right? And next week, we're talking about bring God or bring Jesus, and we'll get to those next week. But this week, week 2, be intentional. Now, I don't know how far you guys got into your small groups last week, or if you were here, but in one of the questions, I wanted to challenge you guys to write down 3 people that you can invite to Outbreak this year. Whether it be to Sunday night, whether it be to an event like game night, or Extreme Retreat, or Stay Out Wise, something, or someone that you can invite to. Now, if you didn't, that's all right. Take a moment right now, pause the video, maybe get out a Post-it note or something, write down 3 names that that maybe need to hear the message of Christ, that need the fellowship that surrounds us, that you love to come to Sunday night for. And I want you to pray for them as you go throughout your life. as throughout the series as you develop relationships, and which is what we're going to talk about tonight. The first steps, is getting that confidence to invite someone, getting knowing what you're inviting them to, what you can tell them to invite them to. So tonight, I want to tell you that it goes beyond that invite. I think a lot of times when we try to invite someone, we just leave it there. We kind of get our foot stuck in the door, but really, it's about going through the door and developing that relationship. So last week, we went over Romans chapter 1, verses 14 through 17. And Paul's telling the Christians there in Rome, hence the book called Romans, about how to not feel ashamed of the faith that they follow. How to not feel ashamed of who Christ is and who that they follow into the gospel. Now, a lot of times we're challenged to spread the gospel, right? That's evangelism. That's the part of this whole series, the steps toward evangelism. There's more to it that I want to cover tonight. How can I and you use our invitation not only as a foot in the door, but also as a rock in forming deep relationships with that person? What if they do agree to come with you? What if they do accept that invite? Are you prepared to follow through with that invitation? It's like, have you ever been invited to a party, right? Or an event or something with a friend, but once you get there, that friend goes off with his other friends or her other friends and kind of just leaves you to, scope things out, explore the party by yourself. I want us not to do that with our guests that come to Outbreak or the people that you invite to. And a lot of times when we come to Outbreak, we have our cliques, we have our groups that we hang out with. And so when we bring guests or when guests come, we want them to be in fellowship with all of us. We want them to feel loved and feel in our community. Just like that stat last week, 96% of unchurched people would consider coming to church if they were only invited, right? 96% of people would consider coming to church if they were just invited. That's crazy to me. I hope that you feel the same way. Because an invite is easy, right? An invite is easy, but after they accept is actual responsibility. What's next can be tough. For many people, sharing the gospel is hard. For some, it's even harder to accept, right? And for you in the time and in your life, it can be a struggle to put yourself out there. The Christian title tends to drag perfection, rules, regulations, all these things, this persona. And I assume that those people who you've thought of or who you've written down, probably think the same way. And they're probably not the outcasted. They're not just a random stranger. They're probably someone you talk to every day or every week. They're in contact with you. Sometimes when I'm driving home or even when I drove back and forth to Tennessee, I'd see people in their cars and I'd think to myself in my, 8 hours to Tennessee, you got a lot of stuff to think about. But in that time, I think about those people in the car. They're just another life on this world going through life. I don't know if they've heard the message of Jesus. I don't know if they've heard the message of Christ. And it's not really my ability to talk to them about it. But that's why we're talking about these relationships tonight, to be intentional with them, because those are the people that you're connected with all the time. These lives that, whether you meet them at school, whether you meet them on a sports team, whatever, after that time that you're with them, they have a different life. They might not come to a church on Sunday. They might go to a youth group like you guys do on Sunday, but they have another life that needs to be filled with the love of Jesus. Teams of all kind aren't built in one day, right? They try to be, but they're not. There's chemistry that needs to be built. This is why teams win or lose sometimes. You can have all the talent, but say in football, if the quarterback and the wide receiver, or softball, if the infield and are not on page, don't have that chemistry, they're going to fail. They'll argue, they'll bicker, they'll try to outdo one another. Chemistry is key. Same goes with these relationships. Like I said, you're not probably inviting just a random stranger. You're probably not inviting just a random kid from your school. You're probably inviting someone who you have chemistry with, who you've already built this relationship with over the years. This quote by Ed Stetzer, a famous author and a famous minister, says this: "In our world, People are more connected than any previous generation. I could agree with that. I hope you can too. Right now, I'm talking to you through a screen that I've recorded days before to get you a message. Back then, it would have taken days for this message to get to you. Yet, this generation, feels lonelier than ever before. Social media may allow us to keep up with other people, but invitations to join communities or relational circles are the only way for people to truly connect with each other. He keeps going. He says, we cannot mistake information for intimacy. We cannot mistake communication for community. Virtual relationships are not complete. Right? There's something different for me talking to you right now than me talking to you if you're sitting right in the chair in front of me. And he finishes, to put it another way, fellowship is not truly experienced apart from our actual relationships in physical time and space. You know, this isn't new, right? This idea of being in a relationship, a physical relationship, whatever, it's not new. To be reminded of confidence you should have in Jesus to invite. Go ahead and turn with me to 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Paul's reminding the church in Corinth of the same thing, right? 2,000 years ago, they're struggling with this. The confidence to be faithful, to have these relationships with each other. So 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 4 through 6 says, we are sure about all this. Christ makes us sure in the very presence of God. We don't have the right to claim that we have done anything on our own. And he continues on. He makes us worthy to be servants of his new agreement that comes from the Holy Spirit and not from a written law. After all, the law brings death, but the Spirit brings life. Right? Nothing in our power is good enough. Paul here is explaining here that God has qualified us. He's made us sufficient enough to be able to share the message of Christ. Even if it may feel scary, pointless, or corny, or you may feel anxious, you are enabled, you are worthy by the power of Christ to do so. Be confident. Rest in that truth. We do not win people to God, right? We cannot win people to God. It's God that changes the heart. We are the vessel. It's one spoken many, many, many times, but we have the greatest message to share to the world. And that's the love of Christ, right? Think of it like this. Maybe you play a sport. Maybe you're involved in a club, a debate team, whatever. You go to these competitions that are high level, with these high, you feel high talented people. So you feel you're not worthy. You feel you're not good enough. You feel all these insecurities, and you feel like you're going to fail. But there's that parent, that coach, that mentor, that drives you, that keeps you going, that motivates you, right? This is the same thing here. When we read God's word, when we're in relationship with Jesus, when we're sharing the gospel, that is our ground, that is our sport, that is our team, this is our chemistry. This is our fellowship. As we go and as we share, we have these people behind us saying, yeah, keep going, keep going. Or maybe if you think about a kayak, right? A kayak, if you're going down a stream, it's only you making it go, right? But here, this is what I want you to think about. Say you're in that kayak. In a long life, you know, if you are a Christ follower, you have this motor behind you. And sometimes, as in life, we like to just do our own thing, right? We like to go, basically you're going upstream. You're going upstream by yourself in this kayak. When God's just on the back as a motor. And all you got to do is turn around and let God. Let God take you up the stream of life, the difficulties, the obstacles. And that's the way it's going to be in these relationships that you connect to. There's going to be questions. There's going to be conversations that you're going to encounter with your friends that you might not know the answer to, but I'm telling you, you're going to find it right here. You just got to take them. They need this motor to help them out. Outbreak, if you remember from last year, is centered around these three actions. Actions is we gather, we grow, and we go. We gather to learn, to equip, and to be in fellowship, to grow in our relationship with Christ, to grow with each other, to hold each other accountable. So that one day, even like this series, steps toward evangelism, that we can go and spread that great message we have for the world. I want you to highlight that Corinthians verse that we talked about tonight. Let it be a reminder this week that you are worthy, that you are able to do this. Now, sometimes we get scared to invite. We get scared of what's next after that invitation. You are worthy, you are able to do this. If you watched through this whole video, thanks. I hope you've learned something tonight. I hope it keeps you going throughout the week, and I can't wait to be back next week with you guys. But if you have, I want you to text me. You can text me at this number, 330-398-5486. Text me what you learned tonight. A couple things, couple points that you really took note of. Maybe it's a verse, maybe it's an illustration, maybe it's a story, maybe you relate to something, maybe you have a question. Text me that. And I'll get you something great. I'll get you a prize. All right? Well, I'm glad you guys tuned in tonight. Can't wait to be back next week for our Among Us live night. It's going to be awesome. Hope you invite your friends. Hope you invite your friends to game night. It's going to be sick. If you have ideas for different games you want to play as a tournament, let me know. But we'll catch you next time. See ya.